What if I told you that one of the most iconic landmarks in the world is alive? Well, almost. The Eiffel Tower isn't just a towering marvel of engineering, it's a structure that changes size with the seasons. Yes, you heard that right. This giant iron monument actually grows taller in summer. It's not magic, it's science. When the summer sun beats down on the tower, the iron heats up, expands, and stretches the entire structure by up to 6 inches. But here's where it gets even crazier. As the seasons change and temperatures drop, the Eiffel Tower doesn't just shrink back to its original size, it slightly shifts and twists. What causes this bizarre behavior? Could it pose a risk to the stability of the tower? And what does it teach us about the relationship between science and the world's most impressive structures? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at the Eiffel Tower, or any metal object, the same way again. The Eiffel Tower. It's a symbol of Paris, of romance, and of human ingenuity. Millions of people flock to see it every year, snapping photos, riding to the top, and marveling at its size and elegance. But there's something about the Eiffel Tower most people don't know. Despite standing still, this 1,083-foot-tall iron giant is constantly changing. During the summer, when temperatures soar, the tower grows taller. Not by a fraction of an inch, but by several inches. It's as if the Eiffel Tower is breathing, stretching toward the sky as the heat intensifies. And this isn't just some random quirk of the Eiffel Tower. It's a phenomenon rooted in the physics of thermal expansion, a principle that affects everything made of metal, from bridges to train tracks to the tiny screws in your electronics. The Eiffel Tower is just one of the most dramatic examples. But why does this happen? How do engineers account for these changes when designing structures? And could the tower's growth spurts ever cause problems? Let's dive into the fascinating science behind one of the world's most famous landmarks. The challenge with structures like the Eiffel Tower isn't just building them tall and strong, it's making sure they can handle the environment around them. Metal, for all its strength, has a unique weakness: it expands when it gets hot and contracts when it cools down. For something as massive as the Eiffel Tower, this effect is magnified. Every single beam and rivet in its iron frame responds to temperature changes, pushing outward when the heat rises and pulling inward when the cold returns. It's a subtle process, but when you add up all those tiny movements across the entire structure, you get a measurable change in size, up to 6 inches in height during summer. This creates a fascinating challenge for engineers. How do you design something that's meant to last centuries, knowing it will constantly expand and contract with the seasons? Could these shifts weaken the structure over time? And how do you prevent problems like cracks, distortions, or even catastrophic failures? To understand why the Eiffel Tower grows, we need to look at the physics of thermal expansion. Metals like iron are made up of atoms that vibrate in place. When the metal is heated, these vibrations increase, pushing the atoms slightly farther apart. This causes the material to expand. For the Eiffel Tower, which is constructed entirely of wrought iron, the effect is amplified because of its sheer size. The expansion happens uniformly across its structure, causing the entire tower to grow taller and slightly wider during summer. Thermal expansion isn't unique to the Eiffel Tower, it's something engineers deal with all the time. Train tracks, for example, are designed with small gaps between sections to allow for expansion. Without these gaps, the tracks could warp or buckle in the summer heat. Bridges are another great example. Many large bridges, like the Golden Gate Bridge, have expansion joints that let them adjust to changes in temperature without cracking or collapsing. These joints are invisible to most people but are critical to the bridge's safety and longevity. When Gustav Eiffel designed his famous tower in the late 19th century, he didn't have access to modern computer simulations or advanced materials. Yet, he accounted for the effects of thermal expansion. The Eiffel Tower's lattice structure, those intricate crisscrossing beams, plays a key role in its ability to handle temperature changes. The design distributes stress evenly across the tower, preventing weak points from forming. Engineers have also regularly monitored the tower for over a century, making adjustments and reinforcements as needed. One of the most surprising things about the Eiffel Tower is that its seasonal breathing doesn't just affect its height. The expansion and contraction can also cause the tower to tilt slightly. During the hottest days, the top of the tower can lean away from the sun by a few centimeters as the metal expands unevenly on its sunny side. Thankfully, these shifts are minor and pose no risk to the tower's stability. In fact, they're a testament to the genius of its design, which allows it to flex and adapt rather than resist and break. The Eiffel Tower isn't just a monument to engineering, it's a living, breathing example of how science shapes our world. Its ability to grow and shift with the seasons is a reminder that even the most rigid-seeming structures are dynamic and ever-changing. This phenomenon isn't just about one tower in Paris. It's a glimpse into the invisible forces that shape everything around us. From the steel in skyscrapers to the metal in our cars, thermal expansion is a constant, often unnoticed factor that engineers must master to keep our world functioning. And when you stand beneath the Eiffel Tower, looking up at its soaring iron frame, you're not just seeing a marvel of human craftsmanship. You're seeing the laws of physics at work. The Eiffel Tower's summer growth spurts might seem like a quirky fact, but they reveal something profound about the nature of materials and engineering. Every inch of its iron frame responds to the sun's heat, stretching and flexing in a delicate dance that's been happening for over a century. It's a reminder that the most iconic landmarks aren't static, they're dynamic, adapting to the forces of nature in ways we rarely think about. So the next time you see the Eiffel Tower, remember, it's not just a symbol of Paris. It's a testament to the power of science and human ingenuity.